Okay. How you doing, everybody? I appreciate you coming. I know it's late in the day. So anyhow, my name's Dennis Solis. I'm out of Florida. I've been 20 years in the IT industry and 3 or 4 in Drupal. I've mentored in a couple of the Drupal Career Starter programs. I've presented at quite a few Drupal camps. And if you need to get in touch with me, there's my information. So anyhow, I'm originally from San Francisco, and I've moved out to the East Coast. And the main reason for moving out to the East Coast is I love my office a lot better there than here. So I'm a wimp, what can I say? So anyhow, we're going to talk about parent-child relationships. And we're going to do it. Let me show you an example. Maybe that's the best way to show you what's going on here. Okay. Okay, so we have a content type. I'm going to use the Drupal Camp as an example because we're all here. We kind of all have a feel for the data content types that are in there. Traditionally, you have, I think it's about 12, 13 different content types for Drupal Camp. You got events, sessions, speakers, all sorts of stuff. What we do here, we're looking at it a little bit differently. Instead of setting up these 12 different things and relating them, we're going to set everything up through the event. So if I've got a venue, I can come over here. Whoops. Go back. I can come over here and edit my event. And what this does is this takes me out to a different content type. And I can change whatever I want here. This is just another content type. I've jumped from my event content type into my venue content type. So this makes it very easy for the user to do whatever they need to do. And one of the things is in the venue, okay, I have my location. I also have all my rooms. If I want to go and add another room, come down here and press this little green button, and it takes me to my room content type. And in my room, I can type in, let's see, oh, can't see, let's see, here, control plus. There we go. Is that easy to see?
Yeah.
Okay. Volume. So, create my, I get a new room, I save it, and it takes me back to my venue, and in my venue, I've got a new room. And so I save, I can add more rooms, or I can just, you can also go up here, add an image. This is just basically another content type. So I start out my event, I went to my venue, and then I went to my room, all out of the event. I never had to go into any other menus. Save that. And that will take me back to my event. Now one of the things I can do down here, so now I'm going to set up my sessions. I'm not trying to show you the entire thing, I'm just showing you the big advantage of this approach. Okay? So now I want to go set up sessions for my Drupal camp. So now I'm going to go to add a new session, and we're going to have a time slot here, and we'll pick that time slot. And we're going to go out to look at the sessions. And this is done with a entity view widget, so we can pick up this and the bottom. Submit it, and what it does is it brings it back. So now I've got a session. We go out to my room, and we're going to stick it in the ballroom we just created, and we submit that. And we're going to say who the speaker is. one of the requirements that I've seen, I don't know if I agree with, but the person who submits the session might not be the speaker, so we had to set up a speaker independently. So we're going to assign this to Mary, and submit that, and then we're going to save this. And now we've got a new session on our event. So everything's tied together from the event. The big advantage of this is, think if you've got, let's see. So this is, got to switch over. Okay. So the parent-child data modeling is it's just a different way of looking at what we've always been doing. Traditionally, let's see. Traditionally, we've created nodes. Here are our content types. We have events, venue, time slots, sponsors, all this stuff to put on a Drupal Camp. And they're all independent content types, and you come off the main menu and you access each one of those. Well, think if you've got a new person who's working. What's the training curve for that person? You now got to tell them the whole menu structure on how to add this stuff. So you can't just go tell the person, here's the schedule, go put it in. You got to tell them, okay, you got to go set up a room, and then you got to go tell them you got to set up a venue first, and then you got to set up the room, and then you got to set up the time slots, and then you got to go back in and put the sessions. And you got to tell them all the different menu structures you got to go through, all the different menu paths. This approach, you go through, let's see, you go to the event, and they can navigate to everything they need. You tell them the little green thing there, there is a plus sign. That's to add new items, and the pencils to edit. And we're going to get into all this stuff in a few minutes. So I just wanted to give you the overview of the big advantage of this approach. Is this right for everything? No. It has a lot of limitations. It's used in a lot of places. I know Teach for America uses it on their website. There's an engineering college in Colorado that uses it on their site. That, School of Education, university for your courses, that's a great use for this because it's a very tree-like structure. You start at the school, you go to, actually you start at the university, you have your different schools. Under that you have your different departments, and under that you have your different courses. So it's a very tree-like structure. This works really great with that type of thing. This avoids you from having to use the content. A lot of sites I've seen, if you want to go add new content, you have to go to the content menu and add it through there, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. A lot of other people have, put a nice front end and have all your drop-down menus so you can add new content, but still, you got to tell them, okay, you got to use this menu, you got to use that menu, you got to use this menu. It's just a lot of work to it. Personally, I don't think that structure is very user-friendly. So, the parent-child process we just showed, I think personally is a more natural, more intuitive. I want you to go to this event, and I want you to add these rooms to that venue. Because it's all right there. I want you to add these schedule. We're going to take these sessions, we're going to add them to the schedule. One place, one set of training. I just find it's a lot easier to train people on this approach. So what modules do you need? Actually, relatively few. You need the entity API, the entity reference. Does everybody know what the entity reference is? Yes, no? Yes. Okay. And the really cool one is entityconnect. The entityconnect one is the one that puts the little symbols out to the right-hand side that allows you to edit or add new. And then obviously you need views, and I don't know if we're going to chance to talk about it. We're going to use entity reference view widgets. And basically you can create a little view like the sessions. Normally I can't use just a drop-down list of sessions because I only want a list of approved sessions. All of these slides are already on the website. If you just go to this class, I've got this. I've also got a document out there that takes you through step by step of how to do this. And it was painstakingly detailed. I want to rewrite it to make it simpler, but it's very detailed out there. Okay, so Entity reference view widgets. What I like about that is, in the case of approved sessions, I wrote a little view and said, just show me the approved sessions. Don't show me all of them. I just want the approved ones. Okay? Then I have another one which helps the person who's responsible for approving them. They have a list of unapproved. So they just have to go down and mark which ones have been approved. And then once they've been approved, they drop off that view, so it just makes it easier to work with. And the other thing we use a little bit is auto entity label. That's the one that builds. When we go set up a session, it takes about 5 or 6 different fields and makes the title for us automatically. So this is all done, no code, just using existing modules. So let's take a quick look at what data do we need for a Drupal Camp. Well, obviously there's the event, there's where we're going to host it, all the different time slots, the different sponsors, who our featured speakers are going to be, description of the event, actually news articles. We can actually tie in news articles to this event. One of the nice things about this is we can have multiple events here. It's not we can define our event, we can define whatever venue it's at, and we can have a whole bunch of different events off this one website, and they can be unrelated, as long as they have that same structure. The rooms, the sessions, who the speakers are, so on and so on. Okay, so about 12 content types, and this is kind of the classic Drupal way of doing it. You set up these independent content types, and you relate them through entity reference or whatever, but they're pretty much independent of each other. So, but again, think back to the new person. This is the first day, and you say, okay, here's all the approved sessions, go take care of it. How much training are you going to have to put into them to explain how to do it? So, we try to make this a very user-oriented process. Is this right for everything? No, because there's other things that don't lend itself to this approach. I know on most of my other stuff, I have my child items doing an entity reference to my parents. Here, it's the other way around. I start with the parents and I work down. The deepest I've done this is 15 level deep. And one of the cool things is that when you're at the 15th level, you can get to the data all the way up at the top. That's a pain in the butt, but you can do it. So the nice thing is, as you relate all this information, you can go up the tree, down the tree, and get information over here on this side. Again, pain in the butt, but it can be done. So, we start at the top here. We start with our event. And off that event, we create, or we relate, or 5 or 6 different ones. The main items are going to be our news articles about this event, who our sponsors are, feature speakers, and that sort of stuff. Off of that, our next set of children is our users. And the feature speakers are also going to be part of the users. We got into an issue of, do we have a bio or do we have a user? It could have gone either way. It was just a choice. And off the users or speakers, you have your sessions, and off the venues, you have your rooms. So the users and sessions are kind of separate, because in a Drupal camp, the speakers, they come in and they propose the sessions, and it's kind of independent of everything else. And it's not until we do the scheduling that we tie these two things into the schedule, which is tied into the time slot, which is tied into the camp. So, and the nice thing is you only need one menu item. Go to the event, make this change. I've also seen this on a shipping company. What do you call them? Where they have the tours. So you have this ship, it departs on this date, and it has this itinerary.
Cruise line.
Cruise line, thank you. And so this ship departs on these days, and on each one of these ones it has different itineraries. Some of these itineraries can be shared between different ships. You set it up once, you can use it multiple places. If they're going into the Bahamas, you have, and they're sitting in, I can't remember the towns. If you go into St. Thomas, every single tour that goes in there, you have 5 different things they can do. So instead of having to create 5 different activities. And sometimes you have one activity and you can associate it with multiple itineraries. So it does save you some work too. But the big thing is it makes it easy for the user to go maintain this. And it's like, here, go. I want you to go to the Bahamas trip, and on day 5, I want you to add this itinerary and take this itinerary out. So they just traverse down the menus, or down the data entry screens, and they change it. So, one thing about this approach is it requires you to create your content types from the bottom up, because you're going to be referenced. You have to create your children first before the parents can reference them. And then you have to create the parents before you can create the next set of parents for those children. So it becomes parent, child, grandchild. And it becomes parent, child, grandchild, great-grandchild. So you build it from the bottom up. And the big thing is you connect them using the entityconnect. So let's take a look. Oops. Okay. So there's 3 parts. We have to create the user using entityreference, and then we put those little icons out there using entityconnect, and then we use views to access the information. So let's take a look at one of the fields and how to set up. We're going to take a look at the entityreference and the entityconnect modules. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this. Now, one thing I also want to show you. Everybody read that okay? When I go to name my fields, it's called event. And if you notice, all of my fields have the word event in them. Yes. Yeah, if you look over here, every single field has the word event in it. 3 or 4 character abbreviation for the content type. Any idea why I do that?
Find them in the list.
Pardon?
Find them in the list when you're trying to pick them.
Exactly. When we go to views and you've got 100 variables or 100 field names, and you're going to go look for them, they're all over the place. However, if you prefix them with your content type name, when you go to search, you just type in EVEN, and it brings you up any field with EVEN in it. And it just makes your building your views so much simpler. And I can't tell you how many hours I spent looking for variables until it's like, well, this is stupid. Why don't we just name everything for a content type the same? And it's much, much simpler this way. So just kind of a little side thing.
It will actually help you with features creation as well.
Yes. So it's easier all the way around. So let's go take a look at...
Quick question.
Yes.
Horizontal tab, what module provides that?
Oh, what is that module?
Field group.
Field groups.
Field groups, oh.
Yes. And that's how we get our... this guy didn't do that. Yeah, that's how we get all these up here. Those are the horizontal groups. The only thing about setting those up that's a little tricky is you have to set up a thing called horizontal tab groups. And then under that, you set up your individual tabs. If you just set up your individual tabs without setting up the tab group, it doesn't work properly. I can't remember if it kind of sort of worked or if it just didn't work at all. But so you've got to set up your tab group, and then underneath of it, your individual tabs. So let's go take a look at it. Okay, so that looks pretty normal. Okay, all that stuff looks pretty normal. Default value. Look at this. This is where we get into the entityconnect stuff, all this. Yes. Okay. So what we tell it is, do we want to see the add button, or do we want to see the edit button? The add button is a circle with a plus in it, and the edit button is the pencil. So you can tell you can specify whether or not you want them added or not. And this is a new change, and this tells you whether or not you want just the icon, or if you want the icon in text. So it'll say pencil, and then in parentheses says edit, and next to the plus sign says add or do or something like that. So either way, or you can do text only. Doesn't really matter. And you got the same thing for the edit pencil one. So okay, and then the rest of this stuff down here is entity reference. So you guys, everybody's worked with that, so everybody knows what that is. So does anybody need me to explain that? Okay, cool. Okay. So, okay. So, we've gone through that. So views. Okay, so now we've created the content side of it. The entity reference says, okay, we're going to make event, look at venue. Entity reference does that, and then the entity connect allows me to hit the plus sign or the edit sign that then takes me over to that other content type. Okay? So that's great. Now we have that on the front end. How do we get the information back? It's on views. When you create this relationship, the entity reference, it creates two additional, I guess they're called fields, I'm not quite sure what to call them. But there's a thing called referenced and referencing. What the reference, the ED one, is that's the parent looking at the child. The ING one is the child looking at the parent. So when you create your view, if you want to start at the child level and you work your way up, you want to be using the ING. If you did your parent one and you're looking down, you want to look at the ED version of it. Let's tab. Let's go back to. Now the other thing is, notice when I create my names, I tell it that I'm in the event content type, and I'm going to reference the venue content type. So again, I know anytime I see reference in my variable name, that tells me it's an entity reference, and that I should be able to use that to go do so. And that's going to be important when we get to views, because I'm going to have 15 different EDs and INGs, and I got to know which one is which. Okay, so you can name your variables whatever you want, your fields whatever you want. It's just so much more helpful if you name them up front, so when you get down later, you're not going to be going, what did I call that again? So, okay. So, we're talking about EDs. Okay. Okay. So we're going to take a look at a couple of views. In this particular view, I'm going to go from the parent to the child. So I'm going to look at the event, and from that event, I'm going to look at all the sessions associated with that event. But remember, I'm going to look at the event, not the sessions. The event. So when my view is based upon the content type event. Okay. So let's see. So if we look at this, we see this is based upon event. Okay? But yet, when I look down here, I've only got one event, but yet I've got four things on my screen. That's because I'm saying go to my event, use these sessions that are there to do the view. Now the really cool thing about this is all direct access. It's not having to go out. It has to go look in the database to find the event. But after that, it's got keys that it then goes and gets. So whether I have 4 items or 100 items, This view takes about, what is it, 0.18 seconds to run. And it's the same whether I got one thing or multiple things, because they're all direct reads. Okay, so we're listing the events. Yep. Show me all my published events. I just happen to have one event. And the title's hidden so you don't see it. But the magic happens over here. And the way I name my stuff is I'm in my event, and I'm going to read down to the schedule. So again, we make these names obvious as to what they're doing. Sometimes I say read, schedule, from event, and sometimes I say down to schedule, or down, event down to schedule. I really haven't decided which one I like more. I still kind of play around with them both ways. But okay, so it doesn't show you what it is. But basically, this, okay, let's go, okay, I know what we can do. Let's go add a relationship. And we want REF. Here's all the EDs and INGs. So this one here is in my event content type, and it references the news. By the way, I'm going to put this website up on GitHub, and I will put the link onto the Bad Camp session so you can download and play with it. Okay, this is so much easier if you have something to look at. I've got everything else on the Bad Camp website. This is going to take me a day or two to get it up there, but I'll put it up there. But it tells you I'm in the event, and I'm going to reference news items. Or I'm in the schedule, and I'm going to reference my time slot. Or I'm in my schedule, and I'm going to go reference my sessions. Or I'm in my schedule, I'm going to go reference my speakers. Are these all EDs? Yes, those are all EDs. Okay. So those are the parents looking down at the child. Then down here, when I said I had a lot of references, there we go. Is that reference? Let's see, reference scene. Oh, there we go. Reference scene is, I'm in my fields, where is it? There we go. Reference. Let me scroll down some more. Okay. So here we are. You got to read this a little bit backwards. So the field is originally event referencing the sponsor. But since this is an ING, it's actually the reverse. It's the sponsor referencing the event, because we're going from the child up to the parent. But remember, we just created one single field, which was the event referencing the sponsor, referencing the schedule. So it keeps that same name everywhere, and the difference is the ING or the ED. If you use the wrong one, it doesn't work. Yes, ma'am.
So when you started this conversation, you said that you started by building out the children before you did the parents. Is that referencing that the content editor is putting in the content first, or are you talking about you're building the content types?
Building the content types under the structure menu.
Okay.
Yeah, all the content editor is doing is they're actually edit the event, and they get to everything off that one item. But when you build it, when you do the entry, it's top down. When you're doing the physical data entry, when you're actually creating the content types, you got to do it from the bottom up, because let's say you're at the event. How do you create an entity reference?
Right. But all the entity references come from the parent. The actual entity reference field comes from the parent.
Yes,
down.
in this particular approach. Other people, they don't use this approach, and they have the child referencing the parent. But then that works for, the child or the parent, but now if you want to go kind of up, it gets, yeah.
Can we see the new window where the events content type look like referenced?
Okay, let me get out of here. You want to do a view of it?
In the what the content
This is it.
without the references.
Pardon? Yeah. There's my time slots assigned to this. Here's my sponsors. Here's my featured speakers. Here's the description. What is Drupal? Here's all my news articles.
So you built all this lower level content types first
No, you build a structure for them.
for them.
But the data entry is all done. If I want to add a new article, I'm going to tell my person, go to Drupal Camp, go to news, and let's go add a new article. So I don't tell them to go write the article, because remember, I could have different events. So everything is done off this event. Let's go back up here. Everything is done from the event. This is my menu. This is my data entry screen, and it's my menu. Okay. So let's see, I'm in the edit mode. Okay, let's go view it. Okay, we were just going to view it. I really didn't set up anything in the display mode. This is just the default view. Is that what you were looking for? Yeah. I don't even think I set up any tabs, did I? Schedule tab. Yeah.
That just gives you the view for
That should,
specific entity content type, not
Correct.
all of the children as well.
well, no, because these are all the children. I just didn't set up in my display. I spent all my time doing the edit. I didn't spend any time doing my managed display. I could have taken everything that was on my managed fields and moved it over to managed displays. I just didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because what I wanted to show you was the view side of it. I figured if you know how to create content, you know how to create the managed displays. So when I wanted, okay, so where are we at? News, event sessions. Okay, yeah. So this event down to schedule. So event down to schedule. What I did is I chose event schedule reference. So I just clicked on that. And it's apply. And you can rename them. This, I have a hard time reading what that is. So I just wipe it out. And it's down, let's see, what was this? Event down to schedule. And then down here it has place, I don't know why it has places for two titles, maybe somebody could explain it to me. And their two titles are used in different places. Down to SH schedule. So I just put them in both places and apply. Now I've got the other relationship. Let me wipe that one out. Now the other, so what I've done at this point, that second one, is all I've done is I've related my event to my schedule. I haven't done anything else. It just says this is now related to this. So what I have to do is come over here to my fields and define my fields. Let's go. Before I did this, created that relationship, I didn't have access to the fields on schedule. All I would have had access to were the fields on my event. But as soon as I say relate this event to my schedules, all of a sudden when I go to add a field, here, fields, I can say show me just my session fields. And there they are. And I can add those fields to my view. So we're going to go to approve. I'll add a field here. And the one trick about doing this is, see this thing that says don't use a relationship? You have to tell it to use this relationship for this field. If you don't do that, it don't work. So please remember, this is a critical step. And then after that, you apply it, do whatever you want for the rest of it. Yes, sir.
That little checkbox when you're creating the relationship, require this relationship, what does that do?
Oh, it only gives you, when it does the join, this question, is it doing the, there's an inner and outer, and there's a third one. Basically it says, only, here's my primary, here's my event.
Yeah.
Only give me, or here's my, I've got 4 items down here. Only give me matching records. We're basically going to do a join. We're saying take this and join it to this. But only give me records where I've got an entry in this file over here. So if I say no, I'll get everything here plus whatever's over here. If I say make it required, I only get these records that have a match in this other file. Okay. This is all the rest of the normal stuff, so there's nothing really exciting. This is your critical thing. You've got to specify. First couple of times I did this, I spent a couple hours figuring out why in the world this didn't work. And it was like, okay, idiot. Change that. Man, it worked right away. So, save yourself time. Do that. Okay. So let's go back over here. So if I list, let's see, list event, list schedule. Okay, this is the list schedule. It shows you, here's all my schedules. Okay? Everybody familiar with contextual filters? Okay. This thing here is the same thing, but with a contextual filter. I come in here, I say view my schedule, and there it is. And I pass in, well, you can't see it, but up there is the node ID for that event. So it works both ways. Okay. Yes, the only thing I was going to show you here is this has both a relationship and a contextual filter on it. So you can do some pretty powerful things once you start playing with it. Okay. So we talked, okay, so we talked about the reference C where we're going to go from the child up to the parent. Let's take a quick look at that. That's my next one. My sessions, yes. So we're going, so here I'm doing a list of users. Okay? Well, what's that going to do for me? Okay, I'm going to do a contextual filter on whoever's currently logged in. But what I'm doing is I'm also doing a relationship that says I want to go up to the sessions from my user. So I have the user, but now I want to go up. So I'm at the user. Remember, my sessions, I could have multiple sessions for given users. So I'm going up from my parent of user to my child of sessions. And what I did is this where I did the ing one. So we can go back over here to the first. Links. And I gotta log in as a different user. Tab. There we go. Okay, so now I'm logged in as a different user, and I can click on my sessions, and those are the sessions I've created that were assigned to me. Okay. And that was done off the right one? Yeah, there it is. That was done. Using a contextual filter on users, and we'll go reference C. Spell that right. C-I-N-G. Okay. So I did. User new event. This is what I mean when you go to figure out which variable you want. Imagine if we didn't have any pattern or anything to tell us what was what. I know I'm looking for user and schedule. So, let's see, and it's in here somewhere, I just can't find it. Menu, track.
I think you can type the name of that field that you're looking for in that search box.
I don't remember the name of the field.
Oh.
See, that's why I'm saying if I use this approach, so that way I don't have to know the name of the field. But sometimes you gotta go find it. Referencing, sometimes user.
Got 2 S's.
Yeah. There we go. So, session, okay, so this is what I used. Was the session references the speaker, so I'm using that because the session's the parent and the speaker's the child. So I'm using the ing version of it to work at the child and go up. Okay. So, I'm going to... Okay. Okay. Views conditionals. We're not going to have time to talk about it, but what I use this for is I build my dashboards using this. Basically, it's a view, and it's a stat. It's based upon the user ID, and based upon their role, I give them whatever menus I want to give them. And so they've got a whole dashboard specific to them. And I have blocks, and each block has permissions by role, so they only see the things that's appropriate for them. But I'm running out of time, so. Things I've learned from the School of Hard Knocks. Spent many, many hours, and I have a side of my head now that I've grown the hair, but you can't see it, but it's flat from where I've been bashing it against the wall. So anyhow, well, I was just showing you about how to name your fields. Much, much easier if you come up with it. And you don't have to take my convention. Just pick a convention that works for you, that makes it easy to go find them when you get to views or wherever else you're going to use them. Okay, here we go. This was another thing I found. I create my content with singular and my views with plural. The problem is if you create a content type of event and then go create a view of event, you can have predictable results. So I spent a couple hours researching that one until I was talking to somebody who says, oh yeah, I can't do that. So just create them. He says, content type singular, your views are plural, life is simple. Okay. Oh, this is one of my favorite. If you have multiple views within a view, always remember this page. I can't tell you how many times I was like, crap. Hit cancel and start all over again. I haven't decided if I like individual views or multiple views. They have pros and cons. But I hate that. When you hit save and you look up there and it says all displays. Oh well, anyhow. The other thing does everybody know that you can turn on your view of the SQL in views? Okay. And that helps life a lot. One other thing. If you've got selection criteria, your views, like I've got things that have 30,000 nodes, and it's got to go run that, and then it's got these filter criteria. But the users don't want to run that because that's not what they want to see. So how do you stop and make it ask you for the filters before it runs the report? Anybody know? I know you know, Ted, because you asked me. It's actually very simple. Tab. Come over here. Expose form style, basic. Basic. Yeah. Change to input required. And then that doesn't run the view, and it forces you, well, it doesn't force you, you don't make them read. It gives you the user the chance to enter in the filter criteria before they run the report. So, let's see. Okay. Pardon?
I missed where you checked to get to this with
Under advanced, under exposed form style basic.
thank you.
Yeah, you just turn it on and, you know, why would you ever think that your input form is controlled by this thing called basic? Settings has some interesting things too. You can change sort, expose, label. Those buttons that you that appear that says apply or sort by, you can change what they how they read here. So if you don't like sort by, you want to change something else, or like on mine, instead of saying apply, say run the report. Okay. 10 and oh, this is something cool. You can have, I don't know if this is a undocumented feature or an intended result. I have 3 views, all with the same paths, identical paths. And I get 3 different views. And it's because my views are based upon role-based permission, not permissions, the roles. I have 1 report for administrator, 1 report for the manager, and 1 report for the counselor. And they're, you know, when you create your view, you say it's role-based. The exact same path, so off my menu, I've got 1 menu option, and depending upon who you are, what your roles are, you get 1 of 3 reports. So that way you don't have to worry about, you know, I got my menu, I don't want this guy to see that menu. This just makes it very, of course you then, if you do that by accident, it's kind of a bad thing. Because then you got to figure out, what happens is you get one or the other, not both. And you got to figure out, well, why am I getting this view? You know, because here's my view, this is the one I'm working on, I change it, I run it, it's not that view. Well, that's because somewhere else there's another view with that exact path. So, the other pet peeve I've got, don't forget to put a no results in your view. Because you run a view and there's nothing there. So did it work? I don't know. So tell me. Oh, nothing there, sorry. Anyhow, you guys are now all parent-child experts. So, thank you very much for your time. If you got any questions, these slides are up there on Bad Camp, along with that manual. It's like 100 pages long, and when I said it's detailed, it is detailed, step-by-step instruction. So, unfortunately, it's in Word, and when you try to convert the Word to a Google Doc or something else, the formatting goes away. So it's in Word and it's in PDF, and I've not had the chance to go back and edit it for correction, so if you find, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 grammatical errors in there, so if you find any, email me and I'll fix it.
Is that a real picture or did you Photoshop that?
No, that was a real picture. I didn't take it, a buddy of mine took it.
Okay.
I wish I took it. I know where he's taking it from. I've taken shots from there before. It's on Treasure Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah, looking over the Bay Bridge, going into the city.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
if you get off on that island, it's a naval station.
Right.
Yeah, but part of it's their housing and part of it's military. Well, you can. This is up on the housing part.
Thank you.
Sure.
Question. So I'm thinking about doing something for the university. Housing, they have different units. Each unit has different name of the house. Each house has different single, triple, different prices, right?
Right.
And if I want to have this, give the user to have this contextual filters to things. Oh, is this your approach is good one for that?
Yes. How many units are there? Where this falls apart is when you got.
And
If you
I
got
have 5
100
units. Each unit say at least that's 5 to 6.
Oh, you're
house.
fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's when you got a couple hundred that
No,
kind
no,
of falls
no.
apart. Yeah, but no, the structure would actually be good.
And
for that.
also they can select, say, if they want to say, I want to have a single price range this and distance from university within certain 10 minutes.
See, now you
So,
So you want to have some filtering on that.
yeah, so that's a good approach. And I
You
definitely
can
just
still
filter.
use the contents independent, but so you're going to have a search that's just going to look at the units because you want to go from distance and price and these
Yeah,
other
yes.
things.
So
But as
this
far as your
probably is
data
not
entry,
good, yeah.
but for your data entry people, this is actually a very good approach because they just go down the tree to whatever, because I was unit 5 in this place. And so they go to that housing unit, and they go to unit 5 and they make their changes.
Yeah.
So you're actually going to be using it both ways. There's nothing that stops you.
Yeah.
And actually, that's actually what I did here. Because remember, that last view was of a speaker, all the sessions for a speaker. So the speaker was way down here.
Yeah.
You can create views at any level of the tree and go either up or down.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you want to
It
do, this would work. Yes.
should work. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
I will explore
Yes.
that. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
How do you either, at your option, prevent or not prevent, or identify, I've double booked the room, I've double booked my schedule?
You're talking You're talking
In the example here.
right.
So I've got the gold room.
Oh,
at
double
career
booked?
Yeah.
You'd have to write some logic for that. There's no. You could write a view that gives you room by time, and you'd have to.
Just find anything, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Or either you got to write
Or you
custom
can make
code.
a drop-down selection
Pardon?
of unique time, like hours.
Yeah, you can do that because you can do that in your entity reference. You can tell it to use a drop-down list. You can tell it to use an autocomplete, or you can tell it to use a view. So it's your choice as to how you want to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Just wanted to get your card.
Pardon?
Can I keep in touch?
I don't know if I brought any. As I was leaving the house, I told my wife that. Yeah, here you go.
Oh, thank you.
I did bring my card.
This is
She told me
probably
I'd
one of the
forget.
best sessions, or possibly the best.
Well, thank you
I
very
learned
much.
a lot. This is a great new approach. Thank you so
But
much.
it doesn't work everywhere, but where it works
Yeah,
very
it
well.
does, yeah.
I tried to build a membership system using this approach, and it worked great as long as I had 40, 50 people.
Right.
But then when I had, some locations had 1,000 users, it doesn't work so well at that point.
Right, right.
So,
Thank you.
pros and cons.
I wanted to just thank you for your time and effort on
well, thank you.
the presentation. Good.
Thank you very much.
I've tried similar things because to me this is like deep architecture,
Yep.
and I love architecture.
Well, that's actually what it is, it's data modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Sure,
Thank you.
glad to help. Glad to share. Yes, sir.
I am managing a site that uses a similar approach, and this entityconnect thing I think will be very helpful because right now we have to open a new tab,
Exactly.
go create a new location or whatever. And so on that note, my question is, I installed, just during the talk, I installed entityconnect, and that seems fine. The plus sign is to make a new node.
Right.
The pencil is to edit an already related node.
Yep.
There was another, you had a screen come up that allowed you to pick from existing nodes, like a little like modal window popped up.
Yeah, that's Entity View Widgets.
What's it called?
Entity View Widgets. So we'll go
Okay,
back,
and that, because right now when I have a related entity field, it just gives me a little drop down that
Yes.
just shows like 10,
Right.
up to 10
Yeah.
items based on my search.
Let me get back to my, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Entity Reference View Widget. The thing I don't like about it is you can't pass it any parameters. You can't say, show me.
Any at all. You can search.
You
just
can
by
build
title.
searches into it, yes.
Okay.
But you can't say, just show me, like I would have liked to have had one view for my sessions. And I pass it whether I want approved or unapproved.
I see.
No.
No,
You have to
just
have
one
one for
thing.
unapproved, one for approved.
I see.
So it's not like views where you can pass it a contextual filter.
Right.
Even though it's part of views, it doesn't use contextual.
I see. Yeah, so we have this problem where there are many film titles. And if I'm looking for one called River, and I type in River, it'll give me a bunch of others that have River in the title.
Right.
But if the one I'm looking for isn't in that 10 that it shows, or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah, this doesn't
there's
care how-
essentially no way
Yeah.
to find it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just
Okay.
don't know. I
Yeah.
don't have a solution to it.
Yeah,
but this looks.
this is on.
A lot of times you just do that
This is on the website on Camp. You can download the slides, and it's entity reference view widget.
Okay. Yeah, I think I typed that down. I just didn't put that together with that
Yeah.
little modal thing.
That's what that is.
Yeah. Okay. I think that will be.
And
very
when you
helpful.
go to build your view, let's see, tab, you have to tell it. I forgot to talk about that. Structure, the structure, content type, session. There we go, sessions. Content type, sessions. Each fields. Review. Am I there? Sessions, there we go. Yeah, you got to tell it it's in any reference we're going to use a select list.
Okay.
And when you do that, you're going to come down here. You do this in the,
Anyway, I don't think it's going to
I hit the wrong
I'll
one.
enjoy your not
Yeah, I will.
Oh, that's select list, not those are straight select lists. Where did I have checkboxes, radio,
It starts raining.
feed? Oh, no, it's not sessions, it's under schedule. Structure, content types, scheduled items. Manage fields.
And every day I check the news.
Yeah, see, so you're going to come over here, you're going to tell it's a view. And the way you tell it's a view is you come down here and you can tell it, you tell it's a view, and it comes to this side, and you tell it which of your entity reference widget views you set up.
Okay.
And then on your views, let's see, content type.
And then sometimes it is provided.
Yeah, views content. There is an entity reference view widget.
I see. So I can make a view and then make displays for all of the entity reference views that I
Yes.
need, and then put those as the
Yep.
widget type
Yes.
on the entity reference field. Okay.
Okay. And if you need to email me, I think you can check my user on the front slides. It tells you my Drupal
Yeah,
user.
I downloaded those already.
Yeah, and my email is just the densouls@AOL.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and email me.
Sure. Well, thank you.